All right, and we're live. Okay. Today we're going to be ranking all the Star Wars movies and shows from worst to best on this tier list. We have tiers of S plus, S, A, B, C, and D. We will be ranking all of the movies and the shows, including Maul, Shadowlord, and the Mandalorian and Grogu, which came out this year. There will be full spoilers for both of those projects, so this will be your one warning here, and we will warn you before we get to them that those will include full spoilers. I had just talked to Mike off live that we are going to go back and forth to rank them. So if I rank one project, he'll rank it second, and then the next project I'll go first, and then he'll go second. And we will balance the average of where we're going to put it in this joint tier list, and we will allow 5 projects in that top tier that are among the best Star Wars to ever exist. We will agree and disagree on this tier list, so this is going to be a lot of fun to do. Mike, I'm going to let you start with the Phantom Menace.
Oh, we're starting at the beginning. I like it. Okay. Phantom Menace is a tough one because I know the prequels got a lot of hate back in the day when they first were released. And actually, we're, celebrating the anniversaries of a lot of Star Wars movies here in May because a lot of them came out in May. So we're looking at the 27th anniversary of Phantom Menace. That's pretty crazy. Either way, I like the Phantom Menace a lot more than others. I think the pod race is great, and of course, the Duel of the Fates is in there. I would not put it in my S plus or even S tier for that matter. It probably be around A tier, mid to low A tier. I would put it. What are you thinking?
So I'm a little bit indifferent about the Phantom Menace. It is actually one of my favorite Star Wars movies, and I actually have it upper S tier. It is my second thing in S tier. It
Wow.
is a amazing movie. I feel like it the way it looks is really to its disadvantage in this case because I think fans don't like what the CGI looks like, which actually I think is worse than the second movie that we're gonna talk about on the stream. But I feel like people are too hard on Jar Jar. I remember this being my first experience at a movie, even though it was a re-release for Star Wars. It was the first movie that I saw in theaters, and I had a lot of fun watching it on the big screen. Qui-Gon Jinn is one of my favorite characters. Darth Maul is my favorite character in all of Star Wars. So,
Yeah.
and Obi-Wan, I would actually argue, is one of the weaker parts in this movie, but I don't think that I can put it anything other than where I have it in S. I would argue bottom of S, but I'd be okay with top of A too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with putting it in a bottom of S just because we have that S plus tier today. I agree with you that it's extremely underrated. I think the CGI, even that it broke all the boundaries of what CGI was in 1999, it still looks great. It still holds up. There's some scenes that are like, but and Jar Jar, of course, gets way too much hate. I love Jar Jar. He's the goat. And Maul is my third favorite character of all time, so I'm okay with putting it in an S tier.
All right. All right. And our next movie is Attack of the Clones. Now, this one I actually am not as high on as the first one. I know I get a lot of flack from people for that because a lot of people think that the movies only get better as we go into the prequels, but I think that CGI really struggles in this movie. It does not hold up, in my opinion, as well as the Phantom Menace does because of the amount of CGI that was used. I will say that there are a lot of scenes in this that are very fun to watch, like the chase between Anakin and Obi-Wan chasing down Zam Wesell. I think that that was actually a very fun scene to watch, along with the arena scene later. Anything that involved Obi-Wan on Kamino was really fun. But I think in this movie, it actually does suffer from what people call the George Lucas dialogue, which is a little bit cringy at times, with Anakin and Padme at Naboo being some of the hardest scenes for me to personally actually get through in Star Wars. And I don't like romance very much, so it just makes it worse that it isn't good dialogue going along with it. So for me, I have this at the middle of my A tier.
Yeah, middle of A is probably where I'd be putting this movie as well. I agree and disagree with a lot of that. I do love the cheesy George Lucas dialogue. I don't know what it is. I just love it. Um, it's just it's one of the thing with the prequels is they're so quotable. Same with the originals, I guess, and that's because of the George Lucas dialogue. But again, without that, I don't know if Star Wars would be the same, pop culture phenomenon that it is. And Attack of the Clones, I think the most underrated lightsaber duel, or one of the most underrated lightsaber duels in Star Wars, is that Yoda versus Dooku. When Yoda pulls out a lightsaber and forces it into his hand, like that's just the coolest thing, because you've seen Yoda and he's been this old dude who can't really do much forever, and then he's jumping around like a crazy guy. So I love that. I love the Battle of Geonosis. I do like the whole Camino and clone stuff. Well, the cheesy love stuff's going on with Padme and Anakin. I like A. I like A. A's good.
All right, well, lucky you, you get to introduce the next movie. I don't know. I can't imagine where you're going to put this one, but it's your turn to introduce this movie.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's S plus for me. From start to finish, I mean, the opening scene is this massive fight above Coruscant to go save Palpatine. Dooku's head gets chopped off. The all that great stuff. The happy landing as per usual. But then just from there, it just continues that insane hype and action for the entire film. Obviously, Anakin versus Obi-Wan on Mustafar, you don't even need to talk about it. It's just so awesome. But at the same time, it's Palpatine versus Yoda, which is great. Grievous versus Obi-Wan, which is great. Order 66, Anakin's fall to the dark side, all that stuff. It's the perfect end to that trilogy. And, I like when characters die, and a lot of characters die.
So there is no argument for me that this belongs in S plus at any point. There are no if, ands, or buts about it. And I'm going to say this right off the bat. It is not my favorite project. It is actually low of my 5 in S plus. So
yeah, valid.
I don't disagree with it being an S plus though. So that'll be one of our 5 projects, and with the amount that we have left, we have 5 more that we're going to allow to be in that S plus tier.
Awesome. Look at that though. The prequel trilogy, some pretty great movies right there.
Nice line that we got going.
Yeah.
All right. Our next one is the one that started it all, A New Hope. I'm going to say this right off the bat. I don't get any of the argument that this movie doesn't hold up to the test of time. I mean, this movie's about to turn 50 years old. I mean, at that point, you're going to see some movies start to look just a little bit different than what we have today. But it really is an extraordinary movie, and I love watching it. I'm not ever going to tell you that it looks as good as the prequels do, or even the sequels for that matter. Hate them or like them. I mean, they look physically stunning. But this movie has really stood the test of time in a really big way. It started something. It started a franchise that is now beloved by millions of people. It started it all. If this movie was not as good as it was, we wouldn't have Star Wars today. It would have been the one hit off movie that George expected it to be, with no other parts to it. So I am not going to put it in S plus. I don't think that it is quite good enough to go there, but I will put it in S below Phantom Menace.
Below Phantom Menace.
Below Phantom Menace.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think I'm winning that argument.
It's tough because we only have so many spots in S plus, and I'd love to put A New Hope in S plus. Obviously, never enough can be said about what it did for Star Wars. It is the first Star Wars, but there is just better Star Wars movies. Even in the original trilogy, there's better Star Wars movies. And yes, it still stands the test of time. You're absolutely right. I watched it a couple weeks ago. It still holds up. It's still a great movie. There's some cheesy things here or there, but again, you look past it because it's so good. I agree with you that it would be S on this because we only have some limited S pluses. But I would definitely argue that it's better than Phantom Menace. I'm okay with putting it below Phantom Menace if you really love Phantom Menace that much. But for me, any given day, it's better than the Phantom Menace.
And on a joint tier list, I think that is fair. That we do that. I won the Phantom Menace argument in S. I can let A New Hope pass it in the in the tier. I'm not that drawn to either way.
Perfect.
Wow, it's like you get to introduce all the best movies, it feels like.
Love it. This is a great order. So, Empire Strikes Back, as I just mentioned before, A New Hope is not the best of the original trilogy movies, in my personal opinion. Empire Strikes Back is my second favorite Star Wars movie ever, behind Revenge of the Sith up there in S plus. It is the greatest sequel of all time, like direct sequel, obviously. Uh, Luke versus Vader is incredible. Luke, I am your father. All that great stuff. But even the stuff on Dagobah with Yoda, the opening battle scene on Hoth, Bespin, and the introduction of Lando Calrissian, it is, and the love stuff that gets shit on for an Attack of the Clones, the love stuff in Empire is beloved by most with Leia and Han. So it is a perfect movie. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. S plus for me.
Okay, I do not have it in S plus, and I think that this is going to be my most controversial opinion in the whole tier list.
Wow.
I do have it in the S tier, and it is at the bottom of the S tier.
Wow.
I watched this movie a few weeks ago. I tried to watch most of Star Wars to get ready for this, and I like the movie. I really do. I think that it is the best Star Wars movie, and that's what I've heard people describe it as, but it is not my favorite Star Wars movie. I will have to say that some of the times it feels really slow in the movie. I know that A New Hope has historically felt slow for a lot of people, and I guess I like the slowness that's in A New Hope. In the slowness of Empire, I feel myself getting bored with it in some ways. There are certain scenes that I love. Like I love the Luke and Vader stuff. I love Dagobah. I love Hoth fight, but I actually am not the hugest fan of what goes on in Cloud City. I think that it is a little bit slow until Vader gets introduced, and then even when we're away from Vader, it still feels a little bit slow. I would argue the bottom of S. No disrespect to the film. I don't think it's A, B, C, or definitely not D, but I do think that the bottom of the S is the fairest spot for it, for my personal opinion. But if it is your favorite Star Wars project, I would be willing to bump it up to the S plus tier. If it is your number one, I will
It's
grant
my
that.
number two. I'll put it at the top of S if you want to
Let's put
save
it.
the S plus.
Let's put it at the top of S, and let's see what else that we may agree or disagree on to put up
Okay.
there. And then if we have space in that tier, we'll definitely bump it up to that S plus tier.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. I mean, with Empire, it might be my favorite scene in Star Wars. It sounds really stupid, but it might be my favorite scene in Star Wars is when Yoda pulls the X-wing out of the swamp. It's not like the coolest action sequence ever, but it's the score. It's the Yoda's theme. It just gets me every time. It's so good. But go ahead. Return of the Jedi.
All right, so how you just said that Empire was your like second thing in all of Star Wars. Well, this movie is actually my third favorite project in all of Star Wars. It is an S plus for me. I feel from start to finish, this movie of the whole original trilogy actually goes the smoothest. I feel like it is where we have the least amount of dead time in between scenes and where the action is at. I love Jabba's palace. I don't understand the people who hate the Ewoks. I think that they're not the best part of this film, but they are definitely a really good part of this film.
Yeah.
I love the ending. Anything that is in the ending is absolutely wonderful. And if I had to make one thing that is a con to this film and should hurt it, is what the sequel trilogy did. That Palpatine didn't actually die. I think that that does hurt the end of this movie, but I would still argue it is an S plus, and it is above Revenge of the Sith for me.
Wow. I'm okay with putting it in S plus for sure, but I'm not above Revenge. No, I do agree with you that it's a great end to the trilogy. I do like the Ewoks too. I think the Jabba opening stuff is great with Jabba's palace, especially now with the Mandalorian and Grogu. All that stuff has been added to quite a bit. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's sort of in the same vein as Empire for me, where it's an opening battle, a great ending battle, and then there's all the stuff in between. And I agree with you that the Luke and Vader is probably better in Return of the Jedi. So I'm okay with it being S plus.
But you would argue below Revenge of the Sith.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
for
I
sure.
will grant you that because there is a project that I will fight for to be above Revenge of the Sith, but we'll get to that when we get
Oh,
to
I'm
it.
intrigued. All right, I got Solo. Okay,
First time you don't got
that's
this.
all right. I'll take it. I like Solo. So Solo is a really solid film for me. I know it lost money, which I still don't really understand. I know it came after The Last Jedi. It was in like the same 2 week release window of Infinity War, Avengers Infinity War. So it was hurt by a lot of different things. Either way, this is still a great movie. The train heist at the beginning with when he gets introduced to all those Rio Durand and all those characters, that scene is so underrated. The giant sort of explosion that they did and created behind the scenes underwater and everything. I love the big twist at the end with Dryden Voss and Kira and all that great stuff in Bennett. I remember watching it probably a couple months ago as we were doing our rewatch before the Mandalorian and Grogu, and just remembering again. I do this with all the projects I watch, like going, "Oh my god, this is way better than I remember it being." And I think a lot had to do with that it lost money in the movie theaters. People look at it as sort of a bad spot in the Star Wars history, but that movie is a lot of fun. It's Chewie meeting Han for the first time. It's an origin story for Lando and Han and all these things. You even get the added bonus of the Millennium Falcon having a more personality to it with L3 and all that great stuff. So yeah, I think I'm not going to say anything crazy like it's an S plus movie, but it's nowhere close to a D or a C or even I'd put it in low A. I'd put it in low A, especially with an S plus on this list. I'd put it in low A.
That is a very fair argument for this movie. I would say that this movie was actually a lot of fun to watch. When I watched this movie for the first time, I was a lot higher than I am on it now. I had to watch it a couple times to actually see it as a movie and not just, whoa, this fun, like 2 hour movie that flies by from start to finish, because it
Yeah.
really does. It just flies by. I would say that Dryden Voss is a compelling villain with the help of Maul Shadowlord. With him just being in this movie, I wanted to know more about him
Yeah.
and where he came from and all of that. And I know we saw him in Clone Wars for a brief second, but that's not given us any development on him. And I really feel Maul Shadowlord season 2 will really develop Crimson Dawn into something amazing. And so I'm hopeful for that. But this movie just looks incredible. It was a lot of fun to watch. I'd say if I had to pick one critique on it, which is hard to do with some of these projects, but with this, I'd say I don't like that he got his name Solo just from that Imperial guy just typing it into his data bank or whatever. I don't like that very much.
I kind of do like it because if it was just like his last name because his parents had it, it would be like okay, whatever. But because that's who he is, that's like his sort of character. Like when you meet him in the originals, he has Chewie, sure, but he's sort of the Lone Ranger type character. Where in Solo you get the whole romance side of him and Kira, but he's by himself. I don't mind it as much as other people do, but I get the complaint. I get the complaint.
Fair enough. So, and where I put it is actually the top of B, but like you said with the tier list with S plus, I would not mind bumping it up to low A if you really feel that strongly about it. I don't
Yeah,
have
I
a
mean,
preference if it's top of A or I mean bottom of A or top of B. I don't
yeah, I
have that
put it below.
preference.
I put it below Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It would need to be below Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
Okay, this next movie. I am so happy I get to introduce this movie. Words cannot express it. This is my favorite Star Wars project of all time. It is my number one out of all the shows and movies. I don't think enough can be said about this movie. I'd say that for the people that say that this movie is slow to start and that isn't great in the beginning and only the back half is what saves this movie, I'd tell them to get packing and get going. I don't know what is wrong with you, or if you need to watch the movie through a different lens of your life perspective or whatever. This movie is what I feel is the best Star Wars that we have ever received. I think that it is a visually great movie. And I think that this movie deserves even more credit because going into the movie, we knew all these characters were going to die.
yeah,
All the main characters were going to die, and they made us fall in love with almost every single one of them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't hurt that one of the best Star Wars shows adds to this movie at all. S plus
Yeah.
top of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing. This movie was great and was made even more great by Andor. Like it just continues to get better and better over time. And I agree with everything you just said. And S plus all the way. I would argue under or in between those two movies we got up top, but I'm okay with putting it number one if you feel so strongly about it. Rogue One is an incredible movie.
It is my number one of all of Star Wars. So then I'll pitch the question to you. If you have your cheat sheet here or how you're feeling right now, what is your number one of all of Star Wars?
It'd be Revenge of the Sith, but I'm Rogue One's 3, so I'll be
Um,
okay with putting it what.
because we both have them both in S plus, and my Revenge of the Sith is at fourth in the S plus. Do you know where Rogue One is in your S plus to try to
Yeah,
determine?
it'd be number 3.
Okay, so let's just do this because I don't really care. They're both in S plus. We'll just do that.
Okay,
They're in S plus. We're all good.
sounds good.
Now you get to introduce this.
The Force Awakens. Thank you. See, the sequel trilogy gets a lot of hate. Some of it deservingly so. The Force Awakens, I don't think so. I know it is a lot of a similar story to A New Hope. You know, desert planets, the planet-killing weapon. But isn't that the Return of the Jedi? It's been done before. It's been done before twice. So a lot of The Force Awakens for me is a setup for the trilogy, and the setup is perfect. The setup for Rey is great. The setup for Finn is great. A stormtrooper turned possible Jedi. Snoke's introduction, the mystery behind him is great. Kylo Ren, where's Luke Skywalker? What happened with Han and Leia? All the setup is perfect. It's the next two movies where that setup, kind of goes a little cattywampus. But with The Force Awakens, I think it is a really, really solid movie. For me personally, I'd have it high A. Maybe on this list a low S, but probably high A.
Wow, you're singing its praises. Wow. Okay,
I think it's the
so
best sequel movie, and it's like not really even close.
I agree with that last statement. Out of everything that you just said, I do agree with that last statement. I feel like what hurts this movie is what follows, and I don't want to be like all those sequels haters. It's like this movie sucks because the next two movies are awful. I don't want to be like that. I don't hate the sequels. I have actually argued to sequel haters about what makes this trilogy actually good.
Yeah,
And so I've argued for this trilogy because I feel like the more we focus on the negativity, we're never going to have the community that we once did with Star Wars, where we were all positive and we all loved it. But with YouTube and clickbait and wanting views, it's never going to be where we're all going to love everything because people want views, and
yeah.
positivity doesn't get views, negativity does. But with that being said, I think that low S is very high praise. I do have it in the middle of B tier. I don't have an issue with the fact that it is a carbon copy of A New Hope, just with different characters, which I know is an argument a lot of people have. I think that that was actually great to see that. A different cast of characters following through the same mission, maybe the First Order not learning from what the Empire did wrong, and they blew up their planet destroying weapon on a much more massive scale. So I would
Uh,
argue into the low B tier, but I would be okay putting it in A, but I would want it below Solo in A.
all right, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Or on this, since it's a joint tier list, I would be okay, but I would definitely want it below Attack of the Clones.
All right, yeah, deal.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
deal. All right, The
All right.
Last Jedi. Let's hear
Oh, wow, I have to do this one. Okay.
it.
This movie is by far, and it is not even close to an argument, is the most divisive Star Wars project we have ever had. Because with this one versus other divisive projects, it's either there's 90% that hate it and 10% that love it. The issue with this is there's a bunch of people who despise this film.
Yeah,
But then on the flip side of that, there's a bunch of people that say that this is the best Star Wars project we've ever received. And I've
yeah.
seen both arguments all over the internet. So this movie has definitely been divisive. The people that hate it really hate it. The people who love it really love it. And for me, I fall actually in the middle somewhere with a lot of this stuff that's really controversial. I do fall in the middle. The pros, which I will admit are not as many as I wish. It's visually stunning. I don't despise what they did with Luke. I want more build up to why he is that way, but I
Yeah.
don't despise what they did to him in that movie.
Yeah.
I think that it definitely feels like a Ryan Johnson movie that did not try to fully connect to Star Wars, where I don't feel actually understood it fully before he went into it. He just made what he thought would be a visually stunning, really great film.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the worst scene in this movie is when Rose crashes her ship into Finn's ship and says something corny like, it's not about destroying, it's about protecting the people you love. And then in my
Yeah.
head, I'm like, that is one of the dumbest things ever. You just crashed into him and could have killed him. I mean, so with all that being said, I would put this movie at the top of C, but I would not mind putting it at the bottom of B. There are a
Yeah.
lot of saving things about this movie. Sorry about that.
Yeah. No, I'd put it in bottom of B. I think C is like you're getting into really, really bad. I like the Luke versus Kylo, the force projection across the galaxy. I like the throne room scene. Canto Bite stuff I don't really like much. I agree with you that Luke being there is not the problem. Luke being cut off from the rest of the galaxy is not the problem. It's the lack of explanation for that, because it's the same thing where Yoda was in the originals and Obi-Wan was in the originals. And something like Luke's blood being used to create Snoke or something would be a reason for him to go into hiding and cut himself off. Because if they could make an army of force sensitive clones of him, then that would be a big issue. So I agree with you. Yeah, I think low B would be a good spot for it. Oh, I get Rise of Skywalker. Let's go. Okay. So Rise of Skywalker is an interesting one for me. I know so many people really dislike the dyad stuff. I don't mind it. I do think it's very George Lucasian. Sure. To add something that big in terms of a force ability or force, dyad. Something that would be something that George would like add in the Clone Wars or something like the Mortis Gods. But having said that, the Palpatine return is way too forced. I'm not, again, opposed to Palpatine returning. That's not an issue. It's how they executed it. And I think a lot of stuff since Rise, since it released 7 years ago, has been to, I guess, make it look better. And it does with Bad Batch, Project Necromancer, and The Mandalorian, and all that great stuff. It does look like a better movie now than it did 7 years ago. But I do have it lower than The Last Jedi personally. The two can go back and forth depending on the day, but I'd have it in B tier.
Okay, that is definitely a lot higher on it than I am. I do not hate this movie by any means. I feel like J.J. Abrams tried to correct everything that The Last Jedi did into one movie, and they,
Yeah.
one, didn't give him enough time, and two, I feel like no matter what they did with this movie, Star Wars fans were going to hate it because they already hated The Last Jedi, so the haters were already going to hate it. There were going to be very few people that were going to come into this film with an open mind. And actually, when I first watched this movie, I was really high on it. Like, for a while, I said that it was my favorite Star Wars movie ever. And I
Huh.
think what changed that for me was first, which I'll never let this happen again, I let other fans tell me that I was wrong, like online and all that. So I kind of amounted to that peer pressure and just started docking it down. And then so I actually stopped watching that movie. Like I'd go through and do my rewatch, and I'd cut it off at Last Jedi, and I wouldn't even watch Rise of Skywalker for the longest time. And it's been a while since I've seen it again, but I did watch it not that long ago, and it it suffers from a lot of things. It feels too long, even though I don't know how that's possible. I wish we had like an ending to the trilogy where it could have been a 3 hour movie that didn't feel long, kind of like Endgame, where it just was that good,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. Palpatine returning, like you said, is not my issue. I want to know how he did and
Yeah.
not just have it be somehow. That is the dumbest line in all of Star Wars, and I don't care who you are. That is the literal dumbest line has ever been recorded in Star Wars history. It's just the word somehow. It's like, really, you spent all this time to make this movie and you couldn't give us a 30-minute explanation somewhere in the movie about how he returned
Yeah.
just somehow. So in this movie, after all of that and the ups and downs that I've had with this movie, I do have it in C tier.
All right. I mean, I can get behind that. Yeah, sure. I think that movie will age better as things get attached to it.
And I do not disagree with all with that statement.
Yeah. All right.
Can you next project? Okay, let me. The next project,
Clone Wars, right? Yeah.
yeah, the Clone Wars movie.
Oh, the movie. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Let's
do
go.
I start with this? Oh,
I think
that's
so.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so the movie, I think that there is no fan on earth that will disagree with me on this. That it is not even close to as good as the show itself is.
No.
It's not even a discussion. I feel like for this movie they were trying to get some advertising for it and just crammed like two arcs together of some of the not greatest Clone Wars. Like if you crammed two of the best arcs of Clone Wars together, this movie would rank amongst the best of Star Wars probably. But when you
Yeah.
cram two of the most mediocre episodes of Clone Wars together, the response from the fans is going to be this show's mediocre. So
Yeah.
I do also have this in C tier. I do not hate Ahsoka in this like a lot of people do. I actually really like Ahsoka. She is my second favorite Star Wars character of all time. So I
Yeah.
do say C tier, but I can easily be argued for B tier if you.
No, I agree with you. It's probably C tier. I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's a filler arc, I guess, of a Clone Wars series. It's not like one of the best arcs, and it does introduce us to Ahsoka and Rex and Stinky Rada, but it is not that important, and it's yeah, I C tier. I agree.
Would you argue below or above Rise of Skywalker?
Below.
And that's okay. I
Yeah.
will not argue with that.
Ooh, I get the uh
2D
Tarkovsky
animated.
Clone Wars. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not canon. And that for me actually really hurts the project. I do like Legends projects like the Plagueis novel, like the Bane trilogy, all the old Republic stuff. But when you have a Clone Wars show that's 7 seasons, that's canon, that's as good as it is, and we'll get to it in a second here, it really hurts this 2D animation. It was cool for what it was at the time that it was. It was really cool. There's some cool stories that are in there that aren't in the Clone Wars, like younger Anakin getting the scar in Asajj Ventress's first introduction, and even Dooku floating down like the stranger in the Acolyte. So I wouldn't say it's like the worst thing ever. I wouldn't put it in the D tier, but I'd hesitate to put it any higher than C or B maybe.
Okay, so we share literally all the same thoughts. I won't waste a lot of time on this because I see projects coming up that we'll probably have some debates on
Yeah.
but I don't love this project. I don't hate it. I do have it at the bottom of B, but I could easily be argued for top of C.
No, I like it. Put it in B. I like it.
Okay, well, I am so happy I get to introduce this project. 7 seasons of Clone Wars. It could be argued by a lot of fans that this is the best Star Wars project to exist. As I shared earlier, I guess a little bit of a spoiler that nothing for me ranks above Rogue One. I do have this in the S plus tier. I don't think we're gonna have any arguments. In a show that is 7 seasons long, you're gonna have filler episodes. It's just
Yeah.
going to happen. And that's something that I can understand in like shows that are 1 season long or 2 seasons. Filler episodes do hurt the show, but in a show that's 7 seasons long, you have some of the best arcs in all of Star Wars. I would argue that some my favorite arc in the show isn't even in season 7, and it's a little bit of a weird one. But my favorite arc is actually when it is. Let me find my words. Is Umbara. That is my favorite arc in Clone Wars. I love that arc. I feel like it is dramatically underrated when people are talking about like the best arcs of Star Wars. They always go to season 7 and like it's like the all about the ending of the show. But
Yeah.
what about everything that led up to that? What about all the amazing arcs we got leading up to that
Yeah.
season? So I put this in S plus. There is no debate. I would put it below Rogue One in this case, even though on my personal tier list I have it above Revenge of the Sith. On the tier list we have now, I'd put it below Rogue One, so just above Return of the Jedi in the S plus.
Yeah. So I would probably put it in S. I will give you S plus because of how good the show is, but a lot of that filler does take it down a notch when you're putting it up against some other shows that just don't have nearly as much. I will say Maul, Anakin, Ahsoka are my three favorite characters, and it's because of the Clone Wars that they're my favorite characters. So having said that, yes, you got Umbara, you got Mortis, you got Siege of Mandalore, you got Ahsoka being framed for the bombing of the Jedi Temple, you got all the Maul stuff coming back to life. Yeah, I'm okay with S plus for sure.
Here's the fair I'm going to give you is we bumped Empire Strikes Back down because we still have a lot of projects to rank and we don't quite know where those are going to end yet. I
Yeah.
would argue for this since I had it in S plus and you put it in S. Let's put it in S above Empire.
Okay. Yeah. Deal, because I get to introduce this next one. Okay. So Rebels for me is probably what Clone Wars is for you. I think Rebels is the best Star Wars show. Yeah, still. So Rebels to me is the best Star Wars show, and it's not like crazy close, I guess. Season 2, 3, and 4 are just straight masterpieces. Even with a few filler episodes here or there, it's not really on the same level as the Clone Wars with like full like droid arcs or anything like that. It's always the same Ghost crew members, Ahsoka, Maul coming back, Maul's death in season 3, Thrawn, all the great stuff with Thrawn. Season 4 with the World Between Worlds and Kanan Jarrus's death and all the Lothwolf stuff and the Purrgil and going off and being a setup for Ahsoka in the live action stuff. It's S plus for me, and it's pretty high S plus. But I'm interested to see how you what you think of Rebels.
So you just sang all of its praises, and don't get me wrong, Rebels is one of the best shows that we have in Star Wars. Season 1 hurts the show for me. It definitely does. 2, 3, and 4, I can argue, are among some of the best parts of Clone Wars. But season 1 is really rough for me to get through. I do like that we have it because there are parts of season 1 that I wouldn't want to live without. But I still would say I have the show in the dead middle of S tier. But with you singing its praises, I do still think it should be an S tier. But I would give you high S tier if you wanted that.
Yeah, let's go high S.
Okay, then the question is where in S tier would you want to put it?
I'll go right below Clone Wars.
Right below Clone Wars, no disagreement here, because I do have it above Empire.
Okay, deal.
I think that there's just way more Clone Wars, so it makes it to where they have better arcs. So
yeah,
I get to introduce this next show, our next multi-season animated show, and our last one at this point of our multi-season animated show, Bad Batch. I feel like season 1 is still the highest point of the show for me. I love season 1. I don't like season 2. During season 2, I was dramatically disappointed in the show. It was like a job for Sid, a job for Sid, a job for Sid, a job for Sid. And we know Mike loves Sid. I should send him a Sid t-shirt. Like he loves this character. But and then season 3 really sets up the future of Star Wars, I feel. There is so much they can do with that season and all of the secrets that are held at Project Necromancer and all of that is being hidden that Palpatine is directly involved in, I feel can set up his cloning. And I feel like that's what they've been trying to do ever since they really failed with The Rise of Skywalker in the people's eyes. Not that, as you see, we don't think it's a failure of a movie, but just trying to fix what was that big hole that they had created for themselves. So overall, I do have this movie in the middle of A tier. I don't think that it is the worst project. I just think season 2 really hurts the show. If it was season 1 and then season 3 was season 2, I feel like this movie could be argued to be an S.
Yeah, I like that argument. I actually think season 3 is personally my favorite. I agree with you that season 2 is probably the weakest, except for the finale with, the whole tech stuff. But season 3 is really good and sets up the future, like you said, with Project Necromancer and Omega and Asajj Ventress. I like A.
I would argue that it actually should be the top of A, if that's a weird argument for you.
I like it. I like that a lot. Oh, I got Tales of the Jedi. Let's go. Okay. Tales of the Jedi is probably still, to this day, the first and best of the Tales series. Ahsoka Tano, Count Dooku. The only problem is when you're putting it up against all these other projects, it's where does it line up? It's only 6 episodes, and they're short episodes. I don't really know, actually. I'd probably put it in A tier when I'm looking at this. It is really, really great. It is really, really short. So I'd go A tier.
I do not disagree with that ranking. I do have it at the very bottom of S tier, but based off of what we have left and all that, I don't want to pile everything that we've ever had in S tier.
Yeah.
So because of how short it is, and I actually don't think about that when I'm ranking it. I just think about how good the Dooku stuff is and
Yeah.
how good 2 of the 3 episodes of the Ahsoka arc were.
Yeah.
So top of A is a very fair argument, and I will give that to you. But for my personal ranking, it would be the very bottom of S.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Okay, the next Tales of project that we got, Tales of the Empire, it is not even close to as good as Tales of the Jedi is. I will say that. I feel like
Yeah.
I was personally more intrigued by the Barris Offee stuff, and I do go back and watch just the Barris Offee arc sometimes and skip Morgan Elsbeth's arc sometimes because I don't think that it does as much for her character as it does for Barris. I know like people kept saying, "Oh, we want more Barris after the Clone Wars." Well, they gave you more Barris, and then the fans were all upset about what they did with her character. So in that case, I do have this project in the B tier, and I would argue with what is in our B tier that it belongs right in the middle.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. Actually, everything you said and where you put it, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I do like a little bit of the Morgan Elsbeth stuff. Her fighting Grievous was great, and then the stuff with Thrawn too to set up Ahsoka. But I agree. Oh, I got Resistance. Let's go. So I went many moons without watching Resistance. Just never really had the time. Never piqued my interest. But when I watched it, I wasn't like, oh my god, this is garbage. I wasn't like, this is horrible. It's not anywhere close to one of the best Star Wars projects ever. I'd probably put it in C tier, low C tier. But it's a multi-season animated show. It's 2 seasons, but it doesn't add anything to the sequels and it should have. It should have been like the Clone Wars for the sequel trilogy. So I'd go low C. I'd put it at the lowest thing we've ranked so far.
So I don't disagree that it is the lowest thing that we've ranked. As you guys can see from our ranking, is we are both very high on Star Wars. We both like to see the positives and everything. This show was targeted for actually my age demographic. When this show came out, I was still very young. I was like 9, 10. So this was show was made for me. I didn't quite watch it at 10. I think I was more like 12 because I was interested in Star Wars, but not quite old enough that my grandparents wanted to show me the uh movies yet, and they were
Yeah.
really the ones who got me into Star Wars. So I would sit around and watch this movie. I actually did not like it even when I was little. I feel like it just, even though it's made for that age demographic, I think they made it like the Young Jedi Adventures, maybe a little bit more than that. I do have this project in D, and it is only one of 2 projects that I have there.
Interesting. I'll put it in D. I don't mind that. It's not like it's not like I'd throw up when I watch it, you know?
And I'm not to that point either. I did
Yeah.
just rewatch it a few, like probably like 8 months ago, or now I probably am due for a rewatch of everything on this list.
Yeah.
But I still think that it's going to be the second hardest project for me to get through.
I'm interested to see what that first one is, but I got the next one, and it is Visions. Visions, my relationship with Visions is a shaky one. There's some great episodes of Visions, specifically the Ronin stuff and even like the Ninth Jedi stuff. It's not canon, which again for me does hurt it. And then as there are for as many good episodes of Visions there's 2 bad ones. There's ones that I just don't care. They don't mean anything to me. For those reasons, I would put it in the same vein as Resistance. I'd put it in a low C. Just because of the good episodes, I'd put it in a low C instead of put it in the D. But what do you think?
So here it is. This is the worst product for me in all of Star Wars. I
Wow.
actually find almost zero redeeming qualities. As you see, there is no F tier in this tier list. I don't think there's any Star Wars that is an F tier. I don't.
Yeah.
The redeeming qualities in this movie are so few and far between. I have seen every volume of Visions, and I will watch the Vision show that comes out this year, the Ninth Jedi or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the pros in the show are so few and far between that I can't argue putting it anywhere above a C if you're really that strongly about it. But the pros, I'd say
No.
the only pros are I liked the lightsaber umbrella or whatever it's called. Like that's how
Oh
much I
yeah.
care because I don't even really know what it's
Yeah.
called. I thought that was a cool design.
Yeah, I'm good with the B and D.
Would you argue above or below Resistance based off of your personal ranking?
I'd say above. There's a couple episodes in there that are really good.
Like I said, the redeeming qualities they're there. They're just few and far between for me.
All right, interesting. Huh. You got this one right, Mando.
Oh, I have Mando. I thought, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I got Mando. Okay. 3 seasons. It was an amazing 3 seasons. I hope we actually get a fourth after the Mandalorian and Grogu, but I don't think that we will. I feel like season 2 is the my favorite season of the show, and it's not close for me. Don't no nothing to against season 1 or season 3. I actually have been a huge defender of season 3. I love season 3.
Me
I
too.
think people's issue is they don't follow Mando and Grogu directly, and they try to follow like all the Mandalorians, and it's about Mandalorians themselves.
Yeah.
And it actually, I could argue that Bo-Katan is as main a character as Din Djarin is in that season.
Yeah.
I will grant that Jack Black and Lizzo are a little bit weird to have in Star Wars.
Yeah.
I like Jack Black and his comedy stuff. I like Lizzo to sing, not to
Be
be.
in Star Wars.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I guess if I had to pick something to hurt it, it'd be that. But I remember when it came out in 2019, I was in my grandparents' house and I was asked by a family member because they knew I was a Star Wars fan, have you seen The Mandalorian? I'm like, what is that? Is that a new movie that just came out? And they're like, no, it's this live action animated, a live action show. And I'm like, whoa, no, I haven't. And so I sat through one episode, and me being still pretty young, I mean, I was 11, and I was like, nah, this is boring. I watched like 2 minutes, and I heard this guy start screaming, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Is someone hurt? They're like, no, this guy got chopped in half. I'm like, oh, okay. So I didn't watch it then, but I remember like them loving it so much after just one episode. And for me personally, I have this at the very top of the S tier.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to hear any complaints from me on that. I'd honestly maybe even argue S plus. The Mandalorian is for many fans their return to Star Wars because of what the sequel trilogy did to them or whatever. Like this was the first live action Star Wars show. Season 1 is perfect, and then season 2 gets somehow better than season 1, and then season 3, I agree with you, is extremely underrated. The same complaint for season 3 is the opposite of the movie that we're going to talk about later. The complaint was that Din and Grogu, like you said, they're main characters of the show, but the first 2 seasons are very much about Din and Grogu. The third season is about the Mandalorians as a whole reclaiming their home world. So it was the greater story of Star Wars. It connects to the Clone Wars, it connects to Rebels, and that was the complaint for season 3. The complaint for the movie is that it doesn't connect to greater stories in Star Wars. So it's the exact opposite of season 3. So it's like pick your poison. But I agree with you. I think this is one of the most influential Star Wars projects we've ever had, one of the best Star Wars projects we've ever had. And I like high S. I like S plus. I'm fine with either one.
So what I see in S tier so far, the S tier itself is a project that I argued to be S plus, and 2 project that you argued to be S plus. I'm not going to deny you a third S plus. Let's use our 4th spot for the Mandalorian. I'm looking at the rest of the tier list, and I only have one other project in here that I would argue belongs in that top tier of Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm good with
I'll
that.
grant you S plus, and I'd even give you above Return of the Jedi if you wanted that.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Done and done. Ooh, I get Kenobi. Here we go. So Kenobi is extremely underrated in my personal opinion. I think the rematch of the century did live up to the hype. It's going to be a scene like Revenge of the Sith, like A New Hope, that's quoted forever. Just as we're quoting Only a Master of Evil, Darth, or even It's over, Anakin, I have the high ground. We'll be quoting Anakin's gone, I am what remains forever. That entire sequence. But the rematch itself, the lightsaber duel itself, is the perfect in-between of A New Hope and Revenge of the Sith. Because in Revenge of the Sith, they're jumping around and they're very young. And then in this, Vader's a robot. He's mechanical, and Obi-Wan's older now. And then in A New Hope, they're, of course, both really old, and it's not very quick. So it's the perfect in between point. I get that, yes, it should have been a movie. The first couple episodes are dragged out a little bit. I do like the young Leia stuff. I think the actress was phenomenal, and I think that to drag Obi-Wan off of Tatooine would only be Leia. The Reva stuff, again, I can do without. I think I don't hate the character by any means, but I don't think it's necessary. I would probably put Kenobi, just looking at this list right now, probably in the mid A. Yeah, probably mid A.
Here's what I'm going to say. It is a better project than people make it out to be. It is. Reva's a bit annoying. I do get the argument that it seems like lightsabers are ineffective now because people just survive lightsaber stabs. And this movie
Yeah.
allows it to happen multiple times with the Grand Inquisitor and Reva herself. So I feel like, and even this, I feel like the show, outside of everything else that happens with Reva, makes Darth Vader weaker because she survives when he's cowering over her and literally should have had her killed.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Go ahead.
No, I think Vader's like, that's one of the most badass we've ever seen Vader in Kenobi. When I guess when he stabs Reva, he's thinking he kills her and doesn't. But the scene before that is him. He doesn't even pull out his own lightsaber. He just tools with her, just grabbing her lightsaber, using the Force to stop it, dodging it. This
I'm
is light work for him. What?
I'm gonna borrow this. Thank you.
Yeah. It's and then of course him walking into the room in a different scene and Force choking her up in the air, going, "You were warned. What mistake? Whatever." Snapping people's necks, walking down the street. Obviously,
yeah. I guess that's what people forget, and even I just forgot right then, is how badass he actually looks in this show. I will say that Fortress Inquisitorius looks amazing in the show. I know people complain about the lighting, but I think the dimmed lighting really did something good for that fortress. It makes it feel dark and gloomy, and something's not quite right there.
Yeah, I agree.
Do not disagree at all for mid A. I would argue just below Attack of the Clones, but I could see the argument for it to be just above it.
Yeah, I'm okay with just below. Book of Boba Fett. This one's you.
Yeah, okay. Book of Boba. There is a lot to hear about this show, and there is a lot that people think about this show. I will say the argument that the episodes with the Mandalorian in the show, and that's where I'm going to start with this, shouldn't give credit to the Book of Boba Fett is a dumb argument. If it's in the show, it's the show. You can argue until the sun sets for the final time that Mandalorian should not have been in the show, and that it is Mandalorian season 2.5 or whatever. You can argue that it's in the Book of Boba Fett, and which means that to that account, it needs to be ranked like it is in the Book of Boba Fett. And I actually loved this show. I loved the flashbacks of the Tusken Raiders. I loved to see that softer side of Boba Fett. I know I want my bounty hunters to be rough. I want them to be not these great people, not them to be these soft Boba. I know that argument is out there, and I don't completely disagree with it. I want to see a season 2 to this. I want more Boba. And even if you disagree with some of those things that I said, there's nothing we can do to fix the Mandalorian 2.5 being in this. But no one can argue that From the Desert Comes a Stranger is one of the best episodes in Star Wars. And maybe arguably in all of cinema, it could be argued as one of the best episodes, singular episodes. Yeah. I put this movie in my tier list at the very top of A. But with what's in it, I could argue for it to be just below Tales of the Jedi, but has to be an A tier for me.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to disagree with you at all. I think Boba Fett is extremely underrated. And I get the season 2.5 argument, but then you could just make the same argument that Mando season 2 is Book of Boba Fett season 0.5. Like he's in season 2 as much as Din Djarin's in season 1 of Boba Fett. So I agree with you. I think From the Desert Comes a Stranger is a great episode. The finale is extremely underrated. Boba riding the Rancor. Yes, the Tusken Raider stuff, the train heist scene in that, like Solo got a train heist scene, this one got a train heist scene. Him pulling himself out of the Sarlacc pit in the opening scene, like 100%. And him becoming softer and a family man because he spent 5 years in the desert with the Tuskens. I mean, come on, it's just called character development. But yeah, I agree with you full-heartedly.
So you agree with A? Do you agree in my ranking of A at just below Tails, or would you argue that it should be somewhere in the middle?
No, I like that. I like that. Just below Tails.
Wow, look how lucky you are.
Let's go. All right, Andor. Where do we even begin? Andor is a masterpiece. Season 1, I feel like got a lot of people going with the Andor stuff, but season 2 kind of put that to bed. Uh Season 1 is great. I think season 2 is far better, even though season 1 has the prison arc and Aldani arc, which I think is extremely underrated, and of course the finale. But season 2, those last 5 episodes are 5 of the greatest episodes ever. Not Star Wars, but ever. And it's 100% got to be in S or S plus for us to hear today. But what do you think?
D tier, hear me out. No. This show is the epitome of amazing Star Wars. It is. Can I argue that some of that season 1, episode 1 and 2 is a tiny bit slow? Yes, I can hear that argument, and I fully am on board with that argument that they have to take time to get the story going. They can't just jump in and have the story be amazing right off the bat. It's not. That's where season 2 is so great, is there was not a dull episode in that season. Season 1 did all the setting up that was needed for season 2 to grab that torch and just run with it. No starting the story off, just right into amazing Star Wars. Now, with what we have in S plus, we have one S plus left,
Yep.
and it seems now 4 projects in contention to take that last spot.
Yep.
The question that we have to answer is, which one is going to take it? I say let's put it in the S tier for now, and at the end when we're done ranking everything, decide on that when we're done ranking everything, what will take that final spot in S plus. Because I think that it's going to be harder than just saying that one, because all 4 of those projects are just so amazing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Andor is probably going to end up being the one that takes that spot just because it's 2 seasons over the other ones, but yeah, for sure.
Okay, Ahsoka. This show I did not like after the first watch. I didn't. I didn't like how slow it felt. I did not like the idea of another galaxy in my Star Wars. I didn't like that. It took a lot of convincing and to give it a rewatch. So I rewatched it and I loved it. I really did. Once I gave it a chance to understand that Star Wars is going to be an ever-growing galaxy, like if I get into a coma and I'm out for the next 50 years, I'll come back and be behind on so much Star Wars. There will be 10 galaxies. Palpatine will be back ruling the galaxy with his iron fist. Darth Vader will revive with green eyes. I mean, like it's it Star Wars is always going to change, and I had to accept that for the show, that this show is going to take swings to create Star Wars with another galaxy. And I like how it connects back to Mortis and how it connects to
Yep.
Rebels. It seems like it connects to like so many projects that some shows just don't do. But this show does. You probably can have an argument that it connects to every single show in all of Star Wars and to every movie in Star Wars. It
Yep.
seems to be the connecting piece of everything, and seems to be what's going to set up Dave Filoni's Heir to the Empire movie, which I could not be more excited for.
Yep.
I would argue that amongst what we have in S plus, it is not amongst those greats yet. It's not. I feel like season 2 will be a telltale sign if it can contend with Andor, because after watching both shows and giving just season 1 a chance, I actually like season 1 of Ahsoka more than I like season 1 of Andor. So if season 2 of Ahsoka is as good as season 2 of Andor, we have a really big argument for which one is better.
Yeah.
I would put it in S tier, below Phantom Menace.
Whoa. Okay. Ahsoka is my favorite single season of a Star Wars project. For a lot of reasons you just mentioned. It's got some of the best lightsaber duels in recent past with Balin versus Ahsoka and Anakin versus Ahsoka in the World Between Worlds, and even some of the Shin versus Sabine fights are pretty great too. But you have the added lore, and like you said, it connects to everything, telling us that the Night Sisters come from a different galaxy, and that's why they use Force in such a different way with the Force magic and all that stuff. Thrawn, and this being pretty much Rebels season 5 and the continuation of all that, setting up the heir to the Empire, it is perfect in every way. Like we talked about filler episodes, there's filler episodes in Mando, there's filler episodes in Clone Wars, there's filler episodes in Rebels and Bad Batch and everything. It's just 8 episodes of pure greatness. Like there's no filler anywhere in there. It is just perfection. So I am definitely high S tier on this. I think I agree with you. If season 2 is just as good as season 1, if not better, this war in our Star Wars we're hearing about, it could be better. And we might this time next year might be having a conversation about this being an S plus. There might not even be a conversation at that point, but we'll see. But I agree with you.
I don't disagree that S tier is where it belongs at all.
Yeah.
I just know that we're going to have an argument at the end of this because we only have one spot left in S plus, which we just said it's not going to take that spot. It's not. So do we say then, are you okay with putting it above New Hope, below Empire, since Empire is still in that discussion to take that S plus?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. Ooh, I get the Acolyte? I get the Acolyte. Fun. Okay. The Acolyte, I think, is insane. Everything about it is insane. The fan reaction, the Rotten Tomatoes score, the cancellation of a second season with the biggest cliffhanger we've gotten in recent past. It's insane. All of it is absolutely bonkers. And what's the most insane part about all of it is it introduced one of the best characters in the Disney era of Star Wars, the Stranger. And it gave us Darth Plagueis in live action for the first time. It gave us the best lightsaber duel since the prequel trilogy with Episode 5 and Episode 8, honestly. But in that forest on Kofar, it is, in a word, insanity. I really personally love it. I know a lot of people don't. I know there's a lot of debates going on, witches all being girls, which I mean, that's always been the case. I don't know what's going on there. The fact that it was going to retcon canon, but it never did. I don't know what's going on there. A lot of insanity going around with the Acolyte, but I personally really enjoyed it. I would put it in the A tier. I don't know where I'd put it in this A tier, but I put it in A tier.
That is a very fair argument. This show, in a word, while I was watching it, and this was, mind you, this is when I started watching Star Wars YouTube. So imagine what an introduction I got to Star Wars YouTube, having everybody hate it, and then have a few people that I watched that truly loved it because I could not handle the hate of the show because I enjoyed it. There are aspects of the show that I don't like.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that flat out right now. There are aspects of the show that are bad. But to take away from all the good that it did, like the argument that I hear is that from the people that loved it is the duels in the show seem to be untouched by a lot of other live action shows.
Yeah.
Mike, cover your ears. They were better than the lightsaber duels in Ahsoka. They were.
I agree with that.
Loved the lightsaber duels.
Yeah.
I feel like this show gets hurt by not having a second season. Having Plagueis just be there and not have any explanation or any chance to give an explanation really hurts that. Like, I want more Plagueis.
Oh, yeah.
I want more the Stranger. I guess leave all the rest of them behind, I guess. Just say that they died. I don't know. But I want more Plagueis and I want more of the Stranger.
Yeah. I agree.
With that being said, I have it at a very top of B. But granted, there is stuff in B that I have moved up to A. So actually, in my personal tier list, I have it above The Force Awakens and Solo both.
Oh, 100%. I have it above both those, yeah.
I would argue that Kenobi is where we have an argument. I don't think I can put it above Kenobi.
I'm okay with that. I like it.
Okay. The next project, Skeleton Crew. This show, I actually feel like, has been the most accurately represented by the YouTubers of Star Wars. This show was what it needed to be. It was fun. It was lighthearted. After coming off the Acolyte and everyone was so hardened about Star Wars,
Yeah.
this show came in and was like the Goonies of Star Wars. The music was awesome. It Having Jude Law come to Star Wars, I guess I could say I wish he would play like a more serious role in a more serious show. Then he found a bunch of kids off of their planet and then went back to the planet and only wanted to help them because their planet was covered in money. It seems like just like it's like a bank heist in Star Wars kind of. It's where they're going to rob the rich planet. So I love this show. I Neil is the goat. Neil is the goat. He is an amazing character. That dude has a heart of gold, and he is the GOAT. I feel like Neil would trust anybody in Star Wars. If Vader would be in front of him, he'd just want to be going to give the guy a hug and not realizing what he's hugging.
Yeah.
I'd say my argument is top of B.
I would even put it in A. I don't know. It's tough. I'd put it below Solo, I think, but I'd put it in A. I agree with you that it's extremely underrated. Everybody who watched it really loved it, but not a lot of people watched it because it is unconnected to anything. It has no legacy characters in it. But again, that's not a bad thing. It stands alone as its own story in a really, really great way. And Jude Law is great in it, as you mentioned. The kids are all great. I mean, talk about casting. You casted 4 12-year-olds that are better actors than most older people. So it's absolutely an incredible story, standalone story for now until it starts to connect with Ad-Atten and all that. But it was such a great mystery with sort of Ad-Atten being lost in space and all that great works and all that stuff. And it was just a great, fun Star Wars story, Goonies in space, as you put it as well. So I agree with you that I probably put it in A though, because I think it's just better.
You argue for bottom of A, though. I don't think I can put it above Solo, though.
Yeah, I'd put it there.
All right, I can accept that. You get.
Oh, I got this one.
Yeah.
So Tales of the Underworld. Tales of the Underworld was a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. It came out last year in with zero preparation. It came out 4 weeks after the first trailer launched for it. It was like, holy crap, what a surprise. This is cool. I think it's better than Tales of the Empire. I don't think it's as good as Tales of the Jedi, but it's closer to that. I love Cad Bane. He's my favorite bounty hunter ever. Getting an origin story for him was awesome. But the Asajj Ventress stuff is what got me because they brought her back from the dead, pretty much. They brought her back from the dead using Night Sister magic. It's a setup for what's going to happen in Ahsoka season 2. And they set her up to have a future with some sort of Padawan type character as a good guy. And that might end up being a story that we see fleshed out in maybe Maul season 2 or even in live action in Ahsoka or something. So I am very high on Tales of the Underworld. I thought it was better, a lot better than Tales of the Empire. It's not close to Tales of the Jedi. I'd probably put it below Skeleton Crew, honestly. But what do you think?
I don't disagree with the placement in this tier list. I do think that is an A. This show, for me, Asajj Ventress was levels better than Cad Bane, and Cad Bane was a great story to see.
Yeah.
I'd say that what hurts this show more than either of the other tales actually is that it's too short. I wanted more time with both characters.
Yeah.
I felt like they did a great job finishing Dooku's arc in that time and finishing Ahsoka's arc in that time. With this,
Yeah.
it felt like they felt like the people that created the show wanted more time with these shows, but were told, no, this is the amount of time that you get to cover what you want. And that's really what this feels like.
Well, I agree to an extent. I think with Dooku and Ahsoka, we have already so much more story with them. And with Asajj Ventress and
Yeah.
Bane, we don't. So you want more, but you don't have time for more. So
That's a very fair argument. I do think on my personal tier list, I have it above Kenobi. And if you have it above Skeleton Crew, would we say that middle of B is fair? I mean, middle of B. That's how we'd. Middle of A is fair.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Okay, I get this one.
I get
Or
this one.
oh, you get this one. Cool.
Maul Shadow Lord. Before we finish, I want to say that this is going to be a spoiler for these two. So if you have not seen them, these are the two most recent releases of Star Wars. Mandalorian and Grogu just came out, and Maul Shadow Lord's been out for a little while. But this is your one and only chance to, if you're rewatching this, to get out of here, or if you're watching live, to get out of here. So Maul Shadow Lord, it's amazing. I don't know any other way to put it except that it's amazing. It effectively was the one time that I've even seen the Star Wars haters not be able to hate.
Yeah.
Even though I saw a channel hating on the show, I don't know how it's possible. I had people calling it the Brander Lawson show. I'm like, you like it's like you're a small channel. You're a little smaller than mine, and my channel's not big by any means. You're trying to get views by crapping on a show that is one of the best shows in Star Wars. This show is a S tier, and there is no denying it. I would put it above Ahsoka right now. I need more before I can argue that it belongs in S plus, though.
I agree. I put it slightly below Ahsoka, but I agree. It is a masterpiece. When we thought that they were gonna tease to Vader for season 2, and then they brought in Vader and just gave us what we wanted, it was just incredible. The finale of it is awesome. But even with that, the first 8 episodes aren't talked about enough because those first 8 episodes are just as good. So the finale is great. The Vader showing up stuff is great, but it's still the whole 10 episode series is just a masterpiece. So I agree with you. It should be S tier, absolutely, but I'd say below Ahsoka for now. Again, that may change with season 2.
They both have a season 2. I think that because I'll grant you this, because Ahsoka season 2 is going to come first.
Yeah, yeah.
It'll be very interesting to see how these two rank after they both have their season 2s. Because I honestly think I'm more excited for Maul season 2, but if Ahsoka does it just right, it could really become some of my favorite Star Wars ever.
100%. Okay, I get to cap us off with the Mandalorian and Grogu. Here we go. Mandalorian and Grogu came out 4 days ago, 5 days ago, whatever it is. Not only is it exceeding the expectations in the box office, making more money than even the predictions were giving it, but it currently has the highest audience score since the original trilogy. Not in the Disney era, not since the prequels, since the original trilogy, since 43 years ago when Return of the Jedi released. So audiences are clearly liking the movie. A lot of more people are going to see it than they even anticipated were going to see it. And personally, I loved this film. I thought I was crazy on Thursday night when I was so high on it. And then when the audience score came out, because I just had like the critic score, which was a 62 or 63 or whatever it is. But when the audience score came out and people agreed with me, I was like, oh crap, we might have a pretty good movie on our hands here. Yes, it doesn't really tap into the Thrawn of it all. It doesn't connect to the Skywalker saga story as much as people would want it to, but it's still extremely important for the rest of the galaxy. The Hutts have been in power for thousands of years, and now they're dead. That vacuum of power in space is now there. There's a whole place on the galaxy map called Hutt Space. That space is up for grabs, and that grab might be Grand Admiral Thrawn. However, that's just how it affects the rest of the galaxy. The story itself is action-packed beyond belief. It's like taking the best parts, the best episodes of a possible season 4 of The Mandalorian and Grogu, taking out all the filler, taking out all the nonsense, and putting it into a jam-packed 2.5-hour movie. The dragon snake stuff is great. The final fight, Din versus Embo, is awesome. Hut on Hut violence is incredible. Rod of the Hut is way cooler than I thought he ever would be. And of course, Grogu is continually the GOAT and building a Yoda hut from Empire Strikes Back. Could not say enough good things about this movie. However, having said that, where does it rank up against all these other things? I'd put it in high A tier. When I'm looking at these things, yeah, I guess I'd put it very high A tier. But what do you think?
So this movie just came out 4 nights ago. I went to go see it out on opening night at my theater for sake of privacy, I will not reveal what theater I went to. I at the theater, my theater as well as all the other screenings around that time were full. There was no
Same.
space. We were
Yep.
elbow to elbow. There was no space to lollygag. The only seats that were available were where wheelchairs would sit. So there's no like chairs there for people to sit in. They were for the handicapped. And so the fact that the theater got full from this, and mind you, literally everyone had the Mandalorian and Grogu bucket and cup with the Grogu toppers. We ran
Yeah,
out of
right.
Grogu toppers. Oh, Mike has his bucket.
Oh,
You got the
got the
AT-AT.
AT-AT.
I got the big one with the cup. But the fact that those toppers at my location, there was no screening to be screened until noon at the early screening time. I didn't see it not till IMAX at 7, but the toppers were. I took one of the last 3 toppers that they had at 7 p.m.
Wow.
They were out. The lady at the front told me they sold over 2,200 buckets.
Jesus.
Like
That's crazy.
it was huge. But now for the movie, it was my first movie that was not a re-release in theater. So this movie will always hold that special place for me because it was the first movie that I ever saw in theaters that was
Yeah.
not a re-release, or for Star Wars, I should say. And I think that the cherry for me, before I get to actually what the movie was, is I met a fellow content creator there, someone who I've watched a lot and didn't realize that they lived where I lived.
Oh, that's so
So
cool.
that was really cool.
Yeah.
So, but now to the movie. This movie, the one, I'll start with the con because there's only one con that I have. And it is the argument it feels like 2 episodes jammed together. Here is my thing to that argument. It's supposed to be like the show. Of course, it's going to feel that way.
Yeah.
And
I don't I don't really know how that's being used as a bad thing. Like it's a good thing.
I would say the only thing is like with the Clone Wars movie, and I hate to compare it to that because I think it's so much better than that. But it feels like there's a distinct spot where we realize what all the characters have learned before the next episode starts. So it's like, but with that taken out of it, this show, the first half was better for me than the second half. I will say that. But there are aspects of the second half that I love. This movie was so good. Watching the Huts get eaten by that snake was one of the best things. Like that snake is going to be good for 1,000 years on food. That he ate a
Yeah.
lot of calories.
Yeah.
So this movie, I do not disagree with your ranking of the top of A. I would put it just below Tails, just above Boba Fett is where I have it.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
And here's what I told people, and I'm a little late on the video, so you'll get the first sneak peek into it. It, how do I say this? It felt like it was trying to lead up to something and then never actually did it. Like the whole time I was there, it's like, what is it leading up to? Like with Din Djarin's death, I actually thought he was gonna die in the movie, and they kept like pushing that, and then he doesn't.
Yeah.
And the amount of laughter in the theater when Grogu made the hut and he tried to get Din in there all the way and kept banging his helmet into the
Yeah.
that was awesome. The
Yeah.
comedy in this movie did what it needed to do so that next year starfighters can take risks. This movie played it safe, played it inside the box so that fans couldn't hate on it and that it was going to be just a fun adventure. It never promised to be this franchise changing movie. It
Yeah.
didn't try to do that. And I hope that Starfighter does take necessary swings so that it can be a franchise changing movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, this movie is a very solid um, project in the Star Wars galaxy, and that's not going to be taken away from it.
So we do have some unfinished business. We have 4 NS Plus, and we have four shows and movies, or shows and a movie that are going to try to take it. How do you want to debate which one should go into that tier? Because we only have one spot to give.
Yeah. I honestly think it should be Andor season 2. I know Clone Wars is 7 seasons. That's a lot. Rebels is 4. But Andor is just like there's no filler in that series. It's all just either incredible episode or I guess important character development. Like none of that is filler. Um, I think it's just Andor. I think it's Andor season 2.
That is a very fair argument. I would say for me, the first thing that I said was there is a lot more content between Andor season 1 and season 2, Clone Wars and Rebels, than there is in Empire. I'm going to say Empire needs to stay in S. I don't
Yeah,
think it's quite an S plus. I don't think that Rebels is an S plus. My big debate was between Andor season 2 and Clone Wars, because on my personal tier list, they're both in S plus.
yeah, yeah.
So
I think it's Andor. I mean, I think it's Andor.
I'm going to give you that. The only thing that I think Clone Wars has on Andor is there's more of it, but that means that there's more time for filler.
Yeah,
So, considering that Andor in its 2 seasons has a lot less filler than Clone Wars does, I think that that is fair.
yeah,
And 4, I do think it belongs as the bottom of the tier. I think that we have our 2 favorite projects of all time as our 1 and 2. And
yeah,
then of the other 3, Mando, Return of the Jedi, and then Andor.
yeah. That checks out for me.
Perfect. Now, before we get on out of here, I have a couple of questions for you.
Shoot.
The first one I have for you is, and mind you, I did not let you have these questions for you to try to get you on the spot. Which upcoming project are you most excited for that has been confirmed to come out? Not like the Rey movie that we don't fucking
Yeah,
know what's going on with it.
yeah. Um, it's Ahsoka season 2. I mean, I've talked about it before how much I love Ahsoka season 1 and the cliffhanger of the Mortis Scott statues and Thrawn returning to Dathomir. And the setup of last year, Dave Filoni at Star Wars Celebration telling us how there's a war in our Star Wars. We got the concept art images and all that great stuff. It's Ahsoka season 2, and it might not even be close. I am excited for Maul Shadow Lord season 2 and Starfighter, but it's Ahsoka season 2.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew you were a big fan of Ahsoka. I didn't realize like you were that big of a fan of Ahsoka. I thought if you were that big, you would have argued S plus today.
I would have if it like look at all of our S plus tiers. Like the shows are all multiple seasons. The movies are all just some
All
of the best movies
timers.
ever. Yeah,
Yeah,
so I'll make the argument when season 2 comes out.
fair enough. And my next question is, what is your biggest theory for Star Wars Starfighter next year?
That's tough.
Or if that's tough, what is your hype level for the show for the little bit of information we know about it? How excited are you
Yeah,
for it?
yeah, I'm very excited for Starfighter. Just the loaded cast, of course, and Sean Levy. Love me some Sean Levy. Um, Biggest prediction would probably be that this, as Luke Skywalker would say in The Last Jedi, is not going to go the way you think. I know
I
they
don't
keep saying they keep saying it's unconnected to anything. I don't really know if I still believe that. The lightsaber thing is really cool. The fact that there's going to be a lot of lightsabers in this movie is weird to me. I don't know who's wielding them or why they're wielding them, but it's the villains. I don't know. Like Palpatine's gone. Who are the villains?
yeah, I I agree with you. I think they are lying because I actually speculate that it's going to connect to the Hunt to Ben Solo movie. I think we're going to get that movie. I want that movie so bad. If they announce that movie, it might take over as my most anticipated project coming out.
There you go.
I mean, you saw how we ranked the sequels. I mean, definitely not the highest, but if there's a standout in those movies, it's Kylo Ren, Ben Solo.
Yep.
It is.
Yep.
So it was great to have you on. Thank you for coming on and ranking these.
Yeah.
Our
Thanks for
A
having me.
tier is full.
I know. Yeah, that's how you know Star Wars is in a great spot. I mean, look at all those projects. And honestly, probably 80% of them have come out in the last 15 years in the Disney era.
Yeah. Well, like let's look at our top. All but one, oh no, all but two, more than half of S plus is not even George Lucas Star Wars.
Yeah. And same with S. And same with A.
Well, same with every tier, granted, but that because
Yeah.
it's well, like then you get to the bottom and it's all Disney, all Disney.
Clone Wars movie.
Oh, that's true. So the
Yeah.
very bottom is all Disney.
Yeah.
So, I mean, after us doing this, the argument that Star Wars is dead can never be made again.
Well, I mean, they're still gonna make it, but they just sound stupid.
Like for me, it's in my personal S plus. All but one of the projects is Disney.
Yeah. Well, if you look
So
at it, like we got Andor season 2 last year, or this time last year. We just got Maul Shadowlord, and we just got the Mandalorian and Grogu. That's an S plus S and S or an A.
yeah,
That's
that is. And I guess for the sake of it, I kind of wish we got Ahsoka. If we got Ahsoka this year, this could have shaped up to be the best year Star Wars has ever had.
yeah,
I think
100%.
that they're setting something up for 2027, the 50th anniversary. They're setting something up for that year.
Yeah,
There's something
there's a
we don't
lot.
know. Well, I'd imagine we're gonna get Maul Shadowlord and Ahsoka next year, probably because it's an animated show. They can make that quicker. That
Yeah, 100%. You're getting Maul and Ahsoka next year. My question, I mean, I guess we're gonna get a lot of announcements at Star Wars Celebration, but after Ahsoka season 2 and after Maul Shadowlord season 2 and Starfighter, there's nothing that's been announced yet or officially announced.
no,
So we'll have to wait and see.
there has to be something that they're hiding, and I'm still holding on hope that we get a Tales to end the year off, and that Visions isn't going to end our year off.
Yeah,
That's going to be quite the roller coaster, and not for the good. We're on a high right now, and we're just going to go phew, right
yeah,
down. It's like, oh,
yeah,
that's what's ending us. Great.
yeah.
And you're going to Star Wars Celebration, right?
Yep. So excited! It's my first Star Wars Celebration.
You got to get me the inside scoops.
Oh, I will be on it. I'll be on it.
Yeah, I wish I could have gone because it's actually in my state, and that's what sucks.
Yeah. Dang.
Which, for all you creepers, that doesn't give you nothing. This state's huge.
There
Good
you
luck
go.
finding me. Yeah, I told my mom that I might go down there, not even to go into the celebration, but just to see some of the creators who are like walking to the convention.
Yeah.
I have a friend that lives down there, so I might just go and hang out with them if like tickets come up on like some other sales site. Maybe just try to find a day pass and go.
There you go.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching. This stream has been a lot of fun. We'll have to do this next year at the end of all the projects coming out next year to see where these rank differently. As of right now, it will just be the same shows with the new seasons, but hopefully we get something new that gets into the mix. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.